tradition. You can't buy it. It's earned the hard way over decades and eras. On the field, on the road, in the mud. With guts and with grit, and firm belief that today could be our day. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is back. Still alive, still kicking, the oldest prize in American soccer. 96 teams, part-timers to major leaguers. Survive and move on, lose and you go home. So we call all underdogs, dreamers and believers. And we ask you again, one simple question. Are you up for the cup?
On this first day of April, the only fools are the ones not tuning in to the 110th edition of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. And we kick it off this evening, 6 games in all tonight, beginning in Columbus in a match that pits MLS Next Pro against USL Championship. Columbus Crew 2 against Lexington SC. Happy to have you with us this evening. Alongside Manchester United great Gary Bailey, I'm Joe Malfa. One of the young greats, maybe, perhaps, for Columbus is this man, Chase Adams. He's their star player. They're getting him minutes early and often here in Open Cup. He scored 10 goals 2 months ago in a World Cup qualifier for the US U17s.
He's 16 years of age. He's big, he's strong, he's got a great touch. Scored a penalty against Inter Miami 2 last time out. And when you look at him, you're wondering, are we looking at a great star of the future? Very possibly.
On the other side, Rodilio Rodriguez, one of the bright young faces on this Lexington SC side in USL Championship for their first year. He has a goal and 2 assists in their first 4 matches of league play and scored last round as well.
Needs to impress today because he lost his starting place to Corey Burke. He did start off the season as the lead number 9. He's coming off the bench, but a good match tonight. Maybe he's back in Terry Boss's plans as a starter.
Take a look at the rest of the players joining them out there for the starting lineups. Lexington, a pretty representative group from what we've seen so far last round and the USL Championship.
Yes, they have Michael Adidokan playing there. He makes his debut. He's on loan from CF Montreal, so keep an eye out for him. Christian Valeski's on a short-term contract. Like Rodriguez, he'll be looking to impress up front. Otherwise, it's a very, very strong set of experienced players versus Columbus Crew 2, who, besides Chase Adams at 16, they have 6 teenagers starting. Their oldest player is 23-year-old keeper Luke Pruter. Everybody else is younger than that. Lexington's youngest player is round about 22, Brooks Thompson. So they literally are worlds apart when it comes to average age.
So sort of like you and I here in the booth this evening,
Very similar.
The good thing for Columbus is a lot of their experienced players, the guys who are in their 20s, are on the back line and in goal. So they do have stability at the back, and you see if you can find a moment of brilliance in the attack going forward. And for head coach Federico Higuain, that's really been the message early on. A very young group. They know they're going to take their lumps. They've taken them so far winless in MLS Next Pro play, but some bright moments in the last round in Open Cup that get them here this evening. Great opportunity against a USL Championship side. It's Crew 2 in the black from left to right, Lexington in the orange from right to left. Salvador Flores is our referee in green. And on a beautiful evening at Lower.com Field, we are just about set to kick things off. 6 matches today. Round 2 will take place tonight and tomorrow, and we're underway here in the U.S. Open Cup. One of the issues for Columbus in their opener against New York Renegades amateur side that came through qualifying was just sloppiness at the back, and it gave the amateur side a bit of a foothold in the first half. It was actually that Renegade side that outshot Columbus and had the better of the chances for the first 40 minutes, but Columbus scored twice before halftime to really completely change that game. Second half was no contest with Columbus easily coming through. Lexington in their first matchup dominated through and through here in Open Cup.
Lexington had no problems against Southern Indiana, smashed them 5-0. And Elliot Goldthorpe getting a goal on that day. We see him playing here today. Lucas Stauffer as well got a goal, and so did Rodilio Rodriguez. They'll be hoping to recreate that today.
Here is Rodriguez, 25-year-old, joining from Tacoma Defiance at MLS Next Pro this past year, now with Lexington. So he has experience against this Columbus side and others from Next Pro. Some very good experience. Bardilio Rodriguez had 15 goals in 2023. Had a numbers dip in 2024, but it was due to injury. Only played 6 games. All came down the stretch. Still managed 2 goals and an assist in those last 6 games. What can he do this year at full fitness? You mentioned earlier, Gary lost his starting spot to Corey Burke, but here he is on it again. Trying to make magic in Open Cup. Bolesky sneaks it through. Flag stays down. Dedekin flicked away defensively by Quinton Elliott. Columbus playing out of this back 3. It's part of their identity from top to bottom in this club. Federico Higuain just going by what Wilfred Nancy and the first team do.
I think perhaps a 4-4-2 for Lexington in response. Christian Valesky and Bardilio Rodriguez would be the 2 likely strikers up front, with everybody else trying to feed them the ball. 2 big guys, so it's something for the youngsters of Columbus Crew to keep an eye on.
Luke Pruder in goal as well. That's a stray from the last round, where it was Stas Lapkus, who's been the main goalkeeper for Columbus Crew too over the last couple of years. Luke Pruder drafted this past year out of UC Irvine collegiately. Has 2 starts this season for Columbus Crew too. This is his first appearance in Open Cup. Rafferty. Here's Adams. First look for Adams, centering. You and I were chatting before this game. Look out here, contact will bail out Lexington. I was very confident and maybe ill-advised from Jaffal trying to dribble that way, just as I thought he was set to clear it. Don't have your heart in your throat if you're a goalkeeper.
The size of Chase Adams and his strength for a 16-year-old, his awareness of runners. I watched him in the Inter Miami 2 match. That's an unnecessary giveaway from Christian Ortiz. But I mean, if he keeps himself fit and given his size, you know, he reminds me of, I'm going back a long time here, but a young Wayne Rooney. Because Wayne Rooney was 16 when he came through the ranks at Everton, and he also had that strength, a little bit smaller in stature, but way ahead of his age in terms of physical prowess.
Back to that moment for Jaffal. If you're a goalkeeper and you see your midfielder Cruyff turn right in front of you with 3 players around, what are you doing, Gary?
I'm saying a few words that I can't repeat on air. You just don't want to give away a goal. I mean, Lexington should, in theory, win this game fairly comfortable, in theory. But you go 1-0 down and these young players get their tails up and things can still go wrong from there. But given the quality that Lexington SC have, and they won their last match 5-0 in the Cup, you would think that certainly there's a few goals in this for them here tonight.
I just started to ask you right before that moment from Jaffal, right before this match, you and I were chatting, that this Columbus team in spurts can look really good. And we've seen that even through their 3 losses so far in the Next Pro season. There's a lot of bright young talent, mostly teenagers. Any 10-minute stretch of the game, they can look like the better team. The question is over 90, how many of those 10-minute stretches can they put together? That's a question we'll have answered tonight.
And if everything went wrong for Lexington SC, they've just got to look at their bench and say we can throw in Marcus Epps, Corey Burke, Daniel Beerbar, Nick Firmino, Jacob Green, all regular start. That sort of strength off the bench should get them out of any trouble.
Dedekin is sort of having a bit of a homecoming here to the state of Ohio, at least, and Columbus, where he was a star for 2 years at Ohio State collegiately. On loan from Montreal in MLS, Dedekin made his pro debut last match. It was a 1-minute cameo against San Antonio. That's the start tonight. You'll hear the support from the crowd. It's on the near side where the camera is, but these supporters in Columbus, whether it's the first team or the second team, make their voices heard, and this second team has had a lot of success in the young existence of MLS Next Pro. They won the inaugural title. They made it to the final the following year, lost in the final to Austin. Joe Hafferty on the opposing side for Lexington was on that Austin team. And then last year, Columbus made it to the Eastern Conference Final, where they fell to Philadelphia. So they've been synonymous with success, not only at the first team level, but the second team level as well the last couple of years.
I mentioned Joe Hafferty. There's an example of the difference between the 2 teams. Big money paid to get him from Las Vegas Lights. That's the quality of players. They've got Sofiane Jafal, what a good player he is as well. I mean, they're on a level much, much higher than the youngsters of Columbus Crew too.
Adams centering some numbers here. Try from distance, deflected, and in! A bit of luck for Columbus, and they take the early lead. Owen Prestis with the strike. A bounce that's a nightmare for a keeper in Brooks Thompson. And just as you mentioned, Gary, you get that first one as a young team, your tails are up and you go from there.
Wow, I am surprised. Lexington to allow that build-up on the edge of their box. What a good finish from young Owen Prestis. Ball out wide here, played inside. He's got a bit too much space, but nice quick pass coming in. And the space that he has on the edge of the box as well. It's far too much to give away. If you're Lexington SC, I think that was Chase Adams with a pass that was into him as well. So good play. And now Lexington SC, you thought this was going to be easy. I thought it might be. Maybe it won't.
You could see Brooks Thompson was set, ready to dive, change of direction on the deflection. And he was dead to rights. So Columbus takes the 1-0 lead. Very different than their opening round encounter with New York Renegades, which they ultimately won in strong fashion, but it took them until the last 5 minutes of the first half to finally break through. They did so twice, and then they ran away with it. Very poor start in that game. Rodriguez dispossessed. Owen Prestis, the 19-year-old, started 2 of their matches so far this season. He's typically the one giving in those situations. He led the team in assists last year with 7 in the 2024 MLS Next Pro season. But happy to be on the end of this one.
Certainly questions will be asked by Terry Boss at halftime of his Lexington defense, allowing players space on the edge of the box. Chase Adams had time to pick his head up and find that pass, and so too did Prestis, time to pick out the shot. Yes, might have got a deflection on the way, but he was allowed to control it.
A corner on the way for Lexington. Dangerous ball put in by Goldthorpe.
Perfect, thank you.
This is where you would expect Lexington to show a bit more of their veteran side on these set pieces. Can they confuse and cause issues for a young team?
Although there's plenty of height in Columbus Crew too, they've got some really big players and maybe not as strong physically, and I think that's where Lexington SC can push them off the ball, obviously legally. They don't want to do it illegally, but they can use their great experience and maybe stronger muscles to get into good positions.
Short from the corner, back where it started. Jafal centers, punched away, battered around and finally cleared. Floated back in, and the header all wrong in the end. Offside flag came up anyway. Gael Jabet.
He was going for the goal, Jabet. I'm just thinking there was a square header across to Christian Valeski, which would have seemed under the circumstances a better option. It's a moot point because it was offside, but nonetheless, Terry Boss will be looking again at these players, most of whom are just outside of a regular first-team selection. I mean, of course, Kendall Bergstraw, Hafferty would be regulars, Jafal, but a lot of the others have got to work their way in, and they need to put on a good performance to impress the boss here tonight, Terry Boss, the boss. And if they don't, if they let things slip, I think that the coach will have a real hard go at them, because here we go.
Give it away. Fed through by Rodriguez. Flag stays down. Save made. Big one by Pruder. Those first 5 minutes after scoring or conceding, coaches talk about it all the time. Lexington have responded well and come up with a couple of opportunities.
Overturned ball there in a good position for the visiting side. Christian Valeski on the end of it. Gets it on target, but doesn't do much more than that.
Second save for Pruder. Blind pass back, nearly given away to Adams. Now fed through. He's kept onside by the defender on the far side. In behind, it's Ortiz. Christian Ortiz slowed down. Works it back, deflected again. It only as far as Ibrasai sends it in and saved by Thompson. So issues at the back for Lexington. Careless giveaways costing them.
Lucky they didn't get punished from this one here. Christian Ortiz doing well. Runs into the box. Just waiting for any contact. If he can go down, doesn't, then picks a player out. Once again, players free on the edge of the box here. Shot coming in. Ibra side is just not tight enough in defense. Maybe a sense of, well, this is going to be an easy game. Well, maybe now they realize it's not. They need to tighten things up.
Started by that blind pass back. Good battle here down the right wing. Pressure from Fall. Too much in the end. Pardon me, that was Lucas Stauffer over on that side now.
Rogers winning the free kick again. Better pace in defense from the young side. So, as I said, to repeat the point, if these experienced players thought this was going to be easy, I think by now their soccer IQ is telling them, right, we need to work really hard here. We need to press high, try and get turnover ball. They're a young side. Maybe they'll make errors and get these goals and get ahead, because if we don't, this is going to turn into a really difficult match.
Afraid to possess either out of the back, Columbus. Now the crowd has become self-aware, though. We're on YouTube, Chen. Yes, you all are. And your side is up 1-0 on the early goal from Owen Prestis.
It is a great job that Fede Higuain's doing with this Columbus Crew 2 side, in the sense that, and as he said to us this, he's trying to have a team that is really, really young. And he played against Orlando B, a 14-year-old, Paulo Marinch. I'm thinking, wow, if you can play 14-year-olds, I mean, 16, Chase Adams at 16 is incredibly young. But clearly, Fede Higuain believes he did that at Inter Miami too and got success. It took a tough season, as you mentioned a few minutes ago. They had to suffer a bit. It doesn't seem like they're going to have to suffer that much, this team, if they keep playing the way they have so far.
Sai picks it up. Ortiz looking back for Sai. It squeaks through still. Chance Brewing again for Columbus, blocked. There's some success in space in and around the 18.
Sometimes you can pick up body language of players, and I might be 100% wrong, but Lexington SC just seem too relaxed. It's like, yeah, okay, we'll get into this match eventually, and we'll eventually score a ton of goals. But if you keep that attitude up too long, it really does become a difficult match. And I haven't seen an urgency about them. I haven't seen players geeing each other up, and the organization on the back has been very poor so far.
Rodriguez. Goldthorpe, overlap coming from Hafferty. Goldthorpe sends it back post. Great delivery. The header off target. Foul called against Valesky anyway, as he tried to gain position. Great ball in from Goldthorpe.
Much better. Now this is more incisive. Players running down the line, cover here, drawing defenders out of position perhaps. Bodies in the box. Yes, there's a little, looks like a little tug. That's a much better attitude there coming from Lexington.
The body language for Lexington, it's a totally different year. The team has moved from USL League One to USL Championship, new head coach, new players, but it's almost reminiscent of last year. They were on the road and they lost to Vermont Green, who became some of the fan favorites in last year's Open Cup, that Vermont side, and it felt similar to this. Again, there's almost no carryover in terms of personnel or staff, but the same badge, and it's looking the same way, where it's a little bit deflated coming out of the gates. An early goal for Vermont in that game, an early goal for Columbus tonight. That changes the mood both ways. It's feeling very reminiscent of that, even though the players and coaches are all different for Lexington.
It might have to do with the crowd or lack of it. You know, they're used to playing in front of some decent crowds, Lexington, this season. They've got off to a great start, some good wins. Just got beat by San Antonio 3-2 in the last match. And that was a tough one. That was their first defeat. So they've had this excitement, this playing against Orange County away and other tough teams, getting results, beating Hartford at home, and then coming here at empty stadium, or fairly empty. And maybe they're just, again, it's human nature. It just doesn't feel like it's a big match, but it is a big match, and it will be if they don't raise their level very quickly.
Will Burks possessing at the back. It's interesting where the mistakes have come from for Lexington. It's been lapses at the back. You were going through the starting 11. It's actually the back line where they do have their regular first choice starters in Hafferty and Burks, and Gibet starting to work himself into that category as well. Lucas Stauffer should be now that he's back to full fitness. So it's actually the back line that is their strength in this game, where they haven't really rotated anything based on what their first team should look like. And that's where the mistakes have come so far.
Not getting tight enough on players. Maybe not thinking that a 16-year-old can do them damage like Chase Adams. Now they know that he can. And that, so, you know, you're not picking players up on the edge of your box, allowing them to shoot. So anyway, lesson learned, I'm sure. And as I say, they have the football IQ with all the experience they have. They'll know that they need to dominate the game, as they seem to be slowly doing, and cut the mistakes out, get tighter, and maybe treat Columbus Crew 2 with a little bit more respect.
Goldthorpe. Rodriguez, good idea. Hafferty wasn't quite up to it, but Rodriguez gets it back. Atilio Rodriguez looking to make space, lays it off. Caceres dispossessed. Chase Adams doing the work, coming back to poke that away. Good alert play from the 16-year-old. Only for a little while longer. Turned 17 on April 17th. Made the rounds as a viral sensation, as we mentioned back in February, when he had those 10 goals in the one game in World Cup qualifying. To be fair, they played the U.S. Virgin Islands, one of the lowest ranked teams, but 10 goals is 10 goals.
What was the overall score?
I believe it was 22-0, Gary.
But still, I mean, getting 10 goals is still an incredible achievement.
It was a little while ago now that Erling Haaland did something similar for Norway in a qualifier against the Minnow, and he scored 9. So take that, Haaland. Chase Adams put a 10 spot up.
Well, they're similar sizes. I would think Haaland at 16 would have looked a lot like Chase Adams. Huge for his age and good touch on the ball. So maybe
a little bit longer hair, though.
Well, he can always grow his, Chase. I'm sure he's.
Almost 20 minutes in. Columbus has found some good control in this game, out shooting Lexington. Goal came 7 minutes in. Seemed to stun Lexington a bit. This is the opener of the evening. 6 matches in all tonight around Open Cup. Next one to kick off at the 7 Eastern hour. Tormenta against Foro. A pair of the 7:30 time slot. Charlotte Independence against Carolina Corp. And Inter Miami 2 against Miami FC. And then rounding out the evening, Monterey Bay against El Farolito at 10 Eastern. AV Alta against LAFC 2 at 10:30 Eastern. A larger slate tomorrow, 10 matches tomorrow on a busier Wednesday before we conduct the draw on Thursday for the next round. Everybody participating in round 2 came through round 1. It's not until the next round. Now we have new teams from USL Championship entering the fold. And beyond that, we'll have the MLS teams entering as well. It's the last round where no new teams will enter in the early going. Just the 32 winners from round 1. Flag stays down here, brought off the chest by Stauffer. Gillespie directing the traffic, points to have it go back for Gibet. Now Jaffal. Stauffer on the cross, deflected into the arms of Pruder.
Beginning to see some domination now from Lexington SC in terms of possession, getting the ball wide, getting the ball in the box as yet. Haven't got the ball past Luke Pruder, but if they keep this sort of pressure up throughout the rest of the game, you would expect them to get goals. So it's important for Columbus Crew to try and build up some attacks themselves. Of course, they're trying. It's not easy for them. They're getting picked off here and closed down. At least he wins them a foul, Chase Adams. Again, it's very difficult to believe he's just 16 years of age. Just his body shape and the way he runs is so much more mature.
And this again for Lexington coming against a Columbus side that has leaked some goals as of late. They've given up multiple goals in every league match so far. Losses of 2-1, 2-0, and 4-2 in their next pro season. the top for Columbus. And with a 1-goal lead, that's not something they'll shy away from. Playing indirect if they can, ceding most of the possession to Lexington.
That front line, those three up front, Nico Rincon 19, Christian Ortez 17, Chase Adams 16. They've done very, very well for three teenagers in terms of causing problems for Lexington SC.
Stauffer in tight quarters finds Adidakun. Laid off to Jafal and back again. Or Jabay, former national champion at Clemson. Mael Jabay spent last year on the other side of this rivalry. He was on FC Cincinnati too in MLS Next Pro, so he's familiar with Columbus. Lafferty. Goldthorpe has looked creative whenever the balls come his way. Do them well to get it his way more often. Caceres switches. They're really settling in now, Lexington. Worked around to Stauffer. Valesky getting space. Rodriguez hits it off the bar.
Wow, what a strike. Brilliant play. Down that right-hand side. They kept it around and knocking around. They were patient. He gets free there. It's post or bar, can't quite see which one, but either way, it was nearly in the back of the net. So this is what they've been playing for, those chances. Moving it around and eventually finding that space. Good play there from Lexington SC. And again, just a reminder to Columbus crew, you can't keep defending in that low block. They were very deep. Teams eventually find some way through. So if they want to win this match, they're going to have to get a little bit more on the front foot.
And especially, again, with the disparity in terms of the experience between these two sides. Like you were speaking of earlier, Gary, you expect Lexington at some point to grow into this, to find those soft spaces, to pick those moments and ultimately find one. Playing with fire if you're Columbus and just continue to sit back.
It's just that the sort of experience difference, the physical difference, the soccer IQ difference is all in favor of Lexington, and I'm sure Columbus crew want to get on the front foot. The question is, can they get the ball, and then can they keep it under pressure?
Contact there, don't matter, offside. The call against Goldthorpe.
So for Columbus crew now, up to 2 now, I want to see how they keep possession. Because there's a bit of a high press, there's numbers up in their face from Lexington. Look, 3 orange shirts around them. Can they get the ball, keep possession, knock it around?
They're not afraid to do that. That's definitely what sticks out about this Columbus team. They are committed to it, determined to play this style when they have the opportunity.
You see possession lost. So there's the problem. You've got to find your front players to give them a chance to turn and run at the defense.
This is where the experience factor comes in a bit more. Just to continue that conversation, for Columbus, when you're playing in your next pro season and your goal is equal parts winning and development for the first team, you can stay committed to your playing style. In a cup competition where it's advanced, that's what the goal is. When you're up 1-0, can you be a little bit more careful, be more direct, not play out the back, as they have one coming behind again. Goldthorpe at the back post, waiting for it. Flipped away by Elliott. So will they stray from their style to do what it takes to win, instead of maybe staying committed to their style, if that gives them a better chance to concede? That's the interesting, tricky part for Columbus. You're in this mindset as a next pro team where it's development and winning as you can go along, but you're in a cup competition now and you have to win.
That's a very good point you raise. And I would like to think that Fede Higuain has said to them, play the way you normally play, but if you can go vertical, if you can knock it over the top, go for it. If you have to sit in a low block for longer than we want, then so be it, because you also have to teach players to win games. part of their development of young players isn't just the style, it's how to eke out a win. And if you're 1-0 up, if I had to say to you 1-0 up after 26 minutes, what do you do from here? These young players have to know what to do. They have to know that it might be counter-attack football. Who's the quickest? Who's going to get on the shoulder of the likes of Kendall Burks or Joe Hafferty? And can we knock balls over the top for them?
Rodriguez for Goldthorpe. That connection is strong. Back for Jaffal. Didn't make good contact. They're starting to find a lot of success between that pairing of Rodriguez and Goldthorpe. Even throw Hafferty in the mix when he steps up off the back line. These three on it right now for Lexington. That's where the dangers come from. There they go again. Goldthorpe trying to feather it back along to Rodriguez. Cut out. Holding strong defensively, Columbus. Only let that one opportunity moments ago when Rodriguez hit the post.
Just saw Rincon there get possession on the edge of his box and lose it. Every time they get the ball, let's have a look now, see what they do. They try and play it around. There you go, lose it. It's the third time in the last 2 minutes they've lost the ball on the edge of their box.
Goldthorpe trying to make them pay. Hafferty squares it back. Valesky, very heavy touch, so the moment's gone.
Back to your point, wonderful to play out of your area or just outside your area under pressure, but if you can't, time and time you give it away, knock it long, aim for Chase Adams, see if he can bring it down and hold on to possession and allow you to join him.
Rodriguez might have been offside anyway, but out for a throw.
It's a hardcore bunch of fans there, just at the bottom of the screen. Good to see them out there supporting the youngsters, Columbus Crew.
Foul called against Jabay.
Just letting the young players know that they're around, into them, bumping them, tight on them. All the things that maybe they should have done more of in the first 5-10 minutes, Lexington, they're doing now. So the back of their minds, Columbus Crew 2 players, they know that as they get the ball, they're being hunted straight away, and that's forcing them into errors.
Jabay. This reference might not do anything for you, Gary, since the college concept is more foreign to you. But Gael Jabay feels very comfortable tonight. Both colleges he went to, Oregon State, Clemson, orange jerseys. So a typical green, black, or white team in Lexington wearing the orange tonight. So he has to feel very comfortable.
Okay, well, if wearing the right color makes you feel comfortable, I wish I'd have done it more often. But I get your point. Overseas college football isn't a thing. You go straight to the professionals at 14, 15, 16 years of age. So very different here in the States, but nothing wrong with it, as long as players get a good education as well in case their football career doesn't take off.
These are the moments where it's okay for Columbus to go into that possession when they're further away from their box because it's their strong suit and what they're comfortable with. You've got no problem if they do it up here and it yields a chance. It's just back on the other end when it could get them in hot water that you want to see less of it.
Agreed. And Lexington did a very good job of closing them down right on the edge of their box, but literally 3 times in the space of a couple of minutes they lost possession. You can't afford to do that and get away with it. They were a little bit lucky.
Adams, who did get credit with an assist on the opening goal. Here he is again. Adams trying to cut it back for Elliott. Good idea.
Oh, wasn't it? Very clever there from Chase Adams. He had that in the back of his mind. So, again, so much experience and soccer IQ for a young age of 16. That is Chase Adams, and very impressive what I've seen so far.
It's going to be a very big year for him personally. Whatever he could do, of course, in next pro and put his best foot forward. But later this year, the U17 World Cup, he expects to be there for the U.S. Here's Goldthorpe. And he wins a corner.
Could certainly make a name for himself given how strong the US team is. They could go a long way in that tournament, if not win it. And if he's their lead striker, he's certainly got a chance to become well known. And of course, the European scouts will be keeping their eyes out for any Haaland-type young talent.
He did well making a run to the knockouts back in November of 23 in the last U17 World Cup. Second corner for Lexington. Oh, just misread by Pruder. Never got a piece of it. Fortunate there was nobody back there. Net was vacated.
Got the high press with a number of orange shirts in that half of the pitch. Forcing the long ball, but maybe not the worst idea.
Maybe the most inactive player in this game so far has actually been Brooks Thompson, goalkeeper for Lexington. Just the one moment where he was put under duress on that deflected goal. Pretty quiet ever since. Adida Kuhn. They haven't spent much time possessing at the back either for Thompson to have been active. They've certainly controlled the territories. Lexington almost 70% of the possession.
The fact that Columbus Crew too haven't tested Brooks Thompson means that, ooh, keeper come a long way. Oh, well done. Not a bad effort at all, keeper to keeper. But they haven't tested Brooks Thompson since the goal, which means that the way they're going, they might not get a second goal. And to hold on to this lead all the way to the end is going to be extremely difficult to do.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in the caverns of your brain whenever a modern goalkeeper does something like this.
Yeah, if I'd have done that back in the day, Sir Alex Ferguson would have screamed at me and thrown teacups at me and God knows what else.
Great touch, though.
But it is, but if it's not a great touch, you're in trouble. That's the problem. It's very risky. And I'm not sure you have to do it when you've got the centre-backs in position ready to... You're there to cover if they don't do it. But anyway, he gets away with it, and with Pruder, so well done.
See, this you could accept, stepping up in possession, but striding through for a chest into a volley, not so much. Adams, a nice touch. Has the support of Ortiz. Feeds it that way. Ortiz never could get it back to Adams. Sai steps up. Rodriguez tries to clear. It goes backwards.
Nice touch from Chase Adams to bring the ball down there. And that's where you can use him. He's got the size, he's got the touch. Sometimes you can go long to him, ask him to hold it up and wait for the rest of the team to push up into Lexington's half of the pitch.
Pressure coming now from Columbus. Given away, Prestis. There's been a couple of those moments too where Lexington have almost seemed lulled to sleep at the back and have had just careless giveaways. Adams holding it up, going 1v2. He thought he was fouled. Goes against Columbus.
A little bit of a late tackle there from Rincon, but once again, Chase Adams giving as good as he can. He's complaining, saying I got pushed over, but he fought really hard. There's that sliding tackle, a little bit late, a little bit dangerous. No intent, obviously, from Rincon, but definitely a free kick.
Columbus's bio doesn't have an official height and weight listed for Chase Adams, and on the brink of turning 17, he's still growing. But to your point, I would love to know what the measurables are on him, because you can see stature and the width. Just very physical player, uses his frame wisely in moments like that.
He's a solid player. Normally at 16, you're skinny, and as you mature, you start to put on the bulk. He's already strong. As I say, Wayne Rooney was similar at 16. He was solid as a rock. And you know, if he can look after himself, Chase Adams, in terms of his shape and his body, and he doesn't get too heavy, then he's got all the attributes, as we've said a few times.
Goldthorpe pressuring, almost won it. There's Federico Higuain, ball in hand. He was a legend around these parts for his time as a player in Columbus. Went over to Inter Miami to head up their second team in Next Pro after his brother Gonzalo went there as a player. So he flocked down to South Florida, joining his brother. But this year, coaching change in Miami. And he shook the tree a bit, and Higuain lands back home in Columbus in the same role, MLS Next Pro head coach.
He still holds a record, doesn't he, for assists for Columbus Crew?
If he weren't coaching this team, Des Moines Menace might have given him a call. I'll have them tomorrow, the first time with a home game with their MLS 2015 All-Star side.
Average age over 30.
Average age old enough to be the average age of this Columbus team's fathers.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much.
More or less.
In fact, the entire squad, Fede Higuain's stats show us, the entire squad's average age is 18.1. So given there's a couple of 22-year-olds in Columbus Crew squad, you must know how many 14, 15, 16-year-olds are. Average age 18.1. I would think Lexington's average age as they stand on this pitch is around about 26 or so you can see the big gap.
I'll do the math and get back to you at halftime. Oh, that's not what you want at the back for Keyshawn Ferdinand. Cannot be gifting things to Lexington at this juncture. Corner on the way. Almost looked like he just lost track of where he was.
Yeah, poor ball to give away in those circumstances, but it happens. As you say, they've got to pick up and then remain tight. Christian Velasquez and in particular and Rodriguez are both huge threats from any decent cross.
Goldthorpe kept alive on the backside by Lexington. Malcolm Palacios gets it clear.
I'm a bit surprised there with that corner. I understand it was neat and intricate and they played it around, they got a ball in, but given how much stronger and older the Lexington SC players are, wouldn't you want to just get the ball into the box and say, all right, let's test these youngsters, let's see if the goalkeeper, who's already come and missed one cross, is going to deal with another big cross under pressure. Will you stand in front of him? Do all those things that might intimidate a younger player. They would know because they were intimidated when they were that same age. You all go through this learning process, so they would have, at the back of their mind, they will know what happened to them when they were 16 or 17 trying to break into the game.
Stauffer. Very patient Lexington. Moments that they've picked to go forward. They've shown a propensity to be incisive through Rodriguez, through Adidakun. Best opportunity was that moment where Rodriguez hit the post. Jafal.
See, to me, that's a good ball out of defense. You play it to Chase Adams. He's in a bit of space. It forces the defenders to have to kick it out for a throw, and you calm everything down, move everyone up the pitch, pressure's off for the moment. And that's sometimes a better way of playing out of defense than always trying to dribble out or pass your way out. And maybe that's what they've discovered amongst themselves. Maybe Coach Fede Higuain has actually said to them, you know, don't keep trying to dribble out when they've got that many players high pressing you.
A wry smile and chuckle from Quinton Elliott, who was already warned for time wasting. A little early for that, but I appreciate it from our referee. Nip it in the bud early. Rafferty. Rodriguez. Nice job coming across by Palacios.
sure the Lexington SC players would be keen to get a goal before halftime. Otherwise, they're going to walk into that locker room and Terry Boss is going to have a right go at them for their early lack of effort. Not lack of effort, lack of concentration perhaps in the first 10 minutes and the hole it's put them in.
Goldthorpe, a couple of times that he's put that teasing ball into the sixth, but nobody on the end of it. There was a one time that Valesky was there, but called for the foul. Every time it comes his way, Goldthorpe, he's looked dangerous. Has a goal in 4 matches in USL Championship so far. Had a goal and an assist in that thrashing in the first round of Open Cup for Lexington.
Very quick feet, clever player. Maybe just getting to figure out which runs Christian Valesky makes. Valesky only having recently arrived on a short 25-day contract, so a bit of lack of understanding. I think that's a problem that Terry Boss has had because he put this whole squad together. And he kept 3 players from last year's squad, brought in, I think it was 20 new players. But they're still getting to know each other, a little bit like Rhode Island did last year, got off to a slow start, and then, of course, as we all know, got to the championship final. I'm sure Lexington would love to do something similar this year.
Elliott running in behind. Thompson was hesitant off his line, but it got to him anyway. 3 to play in this first half. Caceres, too much. If Terry Boss would like to see Lexington a bit more direct and purposeful in the second half if it continues this way. It's been a lot of possession, but a lot of horizontal possession, not much in terms of going direct through Valesky or through Rodriguez. Now down a goal after that early concession, 7 minutes in. Win or go home. Need to find something.
There hasn't been enough output from the likes of Rodriguez and Valesky up front. Certainly if they don't do better in the first 10 minutes of the second half, Valesky in particular might get pulled from the attack.
Didakun, good service. Rodriguez was lurking in behind. Palacios clears.
It was a good ball from Didakun. You could see Valesky thought it might come to him at the near post and instead it went through to Rodriguez, but that's the sort of ball that has defenders scrambling. We haven't seen enough of that in the first half. As you say, lots of possession-based football, but the good crosses and the good passes into the box, they've been very few and far between.
They don't have the numbers right now, Columbus, but they did have the space closed down by Lexington as Nico Rincon was looking to go. The longer it goes at 1-0 Columbus, aside from the fact that the pressure is going to mount on the higher division side in Lexington, Columbus can get tighter and they can rely more on the counter, and one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden you're looking at 2-0 if you're Lexington.
If they can get something on Brooks Thompson's goal, yes, but so far they barely get over the halfway line, and when they do, see again possession lost, and then when they do, they haven't created any problems for the opposing goalkeeper. And that's an issue for Fede Higuain to deal with, unless they want to try and defend the 1-0 lead the whole way to the end, which is not going to be easy to do.
1 minute of added time.
Just recovered from an injury, Joe Hefferty. Got a golazo on the opening day against Hartford. What a strike from 25 yards from the volley into the top corner. Welcome to the USL, Lexington SC.
Jeff almost. Rincon does come through, but gives it away. So one last opportunity for Lexington. Goldthorpe. Rodriguez, nice give and go. Hafferty joining the attack. Hafferty centering. Flicked away by Ferdinand. Jaffal tries to switch. Minutes come and gone. He lets it go for now. Looking at his watch. They have to go, Lexington, if there's going to be one last opportunity. Has to come now. Goldthorpe centering. Deflected and cleared. And there's the whistle to end the first half. Columbus holds strong after scoring that goal 7 minutes in. A 1-0 lead into the break.
I think there's going to be some words said in that Lexington SC locker room. There's a few players having a word with each other, asking questions. It hasn't been good enough, especially up front. The service to the front guys hasn't given them much chance either. They've got some real quality players on the bench, Lexington. So unless the first 10 minutes of the second half is better, I think Terry Boss is going to make some big changes. For Columbus crew, well done. Took their goal well, and they've defended superbly well in this first half.
Could have our cup set brewing here in the first of 6 matches tonight. 3rd Division MLS Next Pro side. Columbus Crew 2 up 1-0 on Lexington SC at the break. Stick with us. More to come from Columbus. Players have trickled back out onto the field here in Columbus with Crew 2 up 1-0 on Lexington. Looks like Lexington is set to make up to 4 changes out of the gates here. We'll get you those in just a moment. But first, we'll look back at the highlights from the first half. And Gary, it was quick. 7 minutes in, Columbus gets the lone goal of the match so far.
Chase Adams doing very well as this ball comes in here. He's aware of that square ball into space for Prestus. Hasn't been picked up. Yeah, deflection that gets it past the goalkeeper. A tough one. But just too much space allowed. They were so lackadaisical early on, Lexington SC, and they paid the price.
And the moments were few and far between for Lexington trying to get a goal of their own. Kruger made what turned out to be one big save officially that he was credited with. And there were mistakes at the back for Lexington that led to more Columbus chances.
Christian Ortiz here makes a run into the box. Clever holds it up, waiting for contact, doesn't come. The ball gets bobbled around, edge of the box. Shot comes in here, comfortable save for the goalkeeper from Ibra's side, and then on the other way, Elliot Goldfield, he's been useful on the ball now, gets it in there. Valesky does a little tug as he goes to head that ball, and free kick given against him.
Then the moment came for Rodriguez. It's cut back to Rodriguez, finds a pocket of space off the post. That's the best chance of the half for this Lexington team. As you see, just one shot on target. 66% of the possession hasn't been very purposeful.
It hasn't. Expected goals, 0.29 for Columbus Crew, 0.71 for Lexington SC. So they've had a higher XG, but they're just not doing well enough around the box in terms of chance creation. They have tightened it up in defense a little bit, but certainly the overall stats show a lot more possession. For example, touches in opposition box, 2 for Columbus Crew, 13 for Lexington Sporting Club, and yet they've got 1 shot on target to Columbus Crew's 2.
You mentioned that Terry Boss might have some choice words for Lexington at the half. Whatever words were said, we'll never know, but actions speak louder than words. And Gary, he's making 4 of his 5 substitutions right now to begin the second half. As we take a gander down to the players coming on, Danny Barbier, Hugo Mbangu, Nick Firmino, and Marcus Epps all coming on for this Lexington side.
He certainly is is making the changes. I thought he might make 1 or 2, or that he might even wait 10 minutes, but clearly he's not impressed with what he's seen. And I like that in a manager. I think that sends a message to everybody else. If you're not performing, out you come, and we'll get somebody else to do it. And Christian Valesky, for me, really struggled in that first half. He's probably not match fit, and he's one of those coming off.
So it's Mbangu on for Valesky, Epps on for Stauffer, and Firmino on for Adidakun. For Danny Barbier, they put number 24 up on the board, but there is no 24 for this Lexington side, so waiting to confirm who that last player was to come off. But Epps, Mbangu, Barbier, Firmino, the 4 players on at the half for Lexington.
That's Terry Boss being the boss and saying, not good enough, I'm making changes, and you best perform in the second half.
See if it provides the spark they need to come back from down 1-0. Lexington left to right in the orange, Columbus right to left in the black. We are set to begin half number 2 between Lexington SC and Columbus Crew 2 here in the second round of the 110th edition of the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup, underway in the second half with Gary Bailey. I'm Joe Malfa, happy to have you with us this evening. Other action has kicked off now elsewhere around Open Cup. South Georgia Tormenta of USL League One against Foro, the amateur side. So no longer are we alone, we've got some company tonight. Palacios, Tristan Brown stepping up and commits the foul. It was Gael Jabay confirmed the last of those players to come off for Lexington. So Barbier for Jabay at center back, Epps for Stauffer on one wing, Nick Firmino for Adidakun in the middle, and Hugo Mbangu up top for Valesky, the 4 subs. Here is Epps trying to bend it through.
And that, of course, still leaves Corey Burke on the bench if they should want to throw him in to try and get a goal towards the end of the game.
Prestis floats it. Chase Adams chests it down. Back to Quinton Elliott and Adams again. To the end line, Adams centering. Shout for a handball from Columbus. Referees looking at each other and they decide corner. VAR chant will fall on a referee who knows he can't go to it, but has to hear the chants anyway. Not available here, the VAR. Hands are behind the back here, and that's clean for me. We got him in the midsection there. Sofiane Jaffal off the short corner. Columbus will like it back. Hafferty. I think the one thing, Gary, you'd like to see more of in this second half, early on, especially for Lexington, is just intensity and purpose. After a manager makes 4 changes, at the very least, you have to show some fight and fire.
Exactly that. They're physically stronger. They've got to get stuck in. And this is a great test for Columbus Crew too. And that's what Fede Higuain said. They're so excited to see how these younger players will stand up to the pressure that's surely coming now after the roasting they would have got at halftime from Terry Boss.
Barbier's first look is a giveaway. Adams wanted it long. Columbus slows it down. That's something we'll keep an eye on too for Columbus in this second half. If they are more keen to go long, to go direct, instead of letting this pressure from Lexington close in, can you just nurse a 1-0 lead in a winner-go-home cup competition? Very different than what you typically see for Columbus in a regular season next pro match. Here's Adams. Barbier fronting him. Adams just calmly goes back. Contact there. The referee says play on. A lot of work early on for Barbier, his first minutes into the game.
There wasn't an appeal from the Columbus Crew 2 players, so clearly they didn't feel it was a penalty. I thought for a moment there was some connection. And that's the sort of break that you want if you're Columbus Crew 2. You're not going to get in the opposition box that often. When you do, if you can get yourself a penalty or any way to get that second goal. As we say, touches in the opposition box, just 2 for Columbus Crew and 13 for Lexington SC in that first half. So it wasn't much in attack, and yet they've got the 1 goal that counts.
Probably not too often that Danny Barbier, who's only 27, has been a decade older than the player he's guarding. That's the case here right now with Chase Adams attacking on that side with Barbier.
It's not going to be any different coming off the bench. I'll tell you more in a moment.
Epps takes it away. Here's Firmino. Let go by Atlanta United after he spent most of last season actually with the MLS squad. They did not pick up his option, let him go, and Lexington signed him. Here's Barbier, not afraid to have a look with his left foot if he's given the space. Rodriguez have it shielded out for a goal kick.
Just that point about the bench for Columbus Crew 2. 2 16-year-olds, a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 19-year-old. And the goalkeeper's 19, so every single player a teenager on the bench, which means it's not like they can bring in experienced players to see this through. These youngsters are going to have to win this by themselves one way or another.
Adams chasing here on Bergs. And mind you, an interesting quirk for Columbus. There were players short on the bench. It was something that perplexed us when we received the team sheets today, especially for a Crew 2 side. The nature of MLS Next Pro, for those who might be unfamiliar, you have a lot of academy players coming up. You have your core group of guys signed to the Next Pro team, and you also do have some first-teamers who are available to come down. So they have a very wide player pool to pick from. They only have 6 on the bench. They're 1 short tonight as compared to what they're allowed to have. Never had an answer as to why they were 1 player short, but they only do have 5 outfield players and a goalkeeper available. Should this go the distance, they have 1 fewer player than Lexington.
It's interesting because, especially if it goes to extra time, these young whippersnappers are not going to last that entire, well, they will last it, but they would need an extra player to do that. So really, it really is it's a player miss that they, maybe there's reasons for it, maybe the coach feels there's a logical reason, but if you go to extra time, I think he might be missing that extra young whippersnapper.
Rodriguez unable to keep it in. When we first came back to begin the second half, we were interested as to what we would see substitution-wise from Terry Boss, because right before halftime you said maybe changes at half, maybe you wait 10 minutes to see if there's a spark that needs to be inserted. And it looks like Lexington has sort of managed to split the difference on that in the bad way. They made the changes at halftime, and there still hasn't really been a spark nearly 10 minutes into this second half.
I think it's coming, though. I think they're sort of building the pressure. They're winning more 50-50 tackles, as they did after, I think it was the first 10 minutes that they switched off, and they weren't really able to pick it up. But I think they're getting into this game. They're dominating more and more, winning these 50-50s, and they're looking better than they did first 10-15 minutes, that's for certain.
It was in the first 10 minutes where the damage was done. Owen Prestis in the 7th minute. Lone tally so far.
To be fair, they're playing Christian Valeski, who, as I said, is probably not match fit. He's on a 25-day contract. Michael Edidokan, who just come in and obviously didn't know all the players around him, so they've had to mix and match a little bit, and I think the coach has gone to more of his, well, he has obviously gone to his regular starting players, Nick Firmino and Marcus Epps and Daniel Barbier, and said to them, right, you go and do a job for me.
Handball the call. As Tristan Brown tried to settle it. Brown, the 17-year-old from Michigan, made a couple of starts so far this season. Really broke out last year. 16 starts made. Controlling the midfield for this Columbus side.
See how deep Columbus Crew 2 are. They're literally on a low block. As soon as they see no chance of getting the ball back, they drop right back. Chase Adams, look at him there. He's almost doing a defensive midfielder's role there. That's how deep he is.
Epps. Was out for a corner. Just a mental lapse from Luke Pruder. Very clearly deflected off the Columbus defender. And he seemed like he certainly could have grabbed that before it went out of play. Not sure if he just had a mental lapse or thought the spin would carry it differently. Either way, it's another needless corner given to Lexington. They had 2 of those in the first half, where Columbus just carelessly gave away corners on poor passbacks to Lexington. Neither time were they punished for it. We'll see this time. It's again that short routine. Goldthorpe whips it in. The header off the bar. Did it stay out? Referees looking at each other. They say play on. Lexington felt that it had crossed the line. Well, there's no VAR, there's no goal line technology. The call made is the call that stands, so it's still 1-0 Columbus.
Wow, what a good corner setup. Ball comes back, it's one touch and in. It's a lovely ball in, great header, crossbar. Does it hit the post as well? I think it's crossbar, post, and straight in the goalkeeper's hands.
Well, if you are Luke Pruder, you'd go play the lottery later tonight because it is very much your lucky day after a moment like that. Epps deflected. Sometimes it's a game of fortunes. Think back to the goal that Columbus scored 7 minutes in. Deflected off of a defender. Nothing that Brooks Thompson could do after the ricochet. And this one hits crossbar post right into the goalkeeper's hands.
Hit the post in the first half as well. And that's why we have cup upsets, because crazy things can happen in soccer. But there's still a long way to go. Marcus Epp being on the field makes a big difference. He's powerful down that right-hand side. Already we've seen him whip in a few crosses.
Try from distance to deflected and saved by Pruder. It was dipping down with some ferocity after the deflection, and Pruder parries it over the bar.
The pressure is building now, isn't it? The goalkeeper's already seen one hit the crossbar and post. Now this one here takes the deflection, wicked deflection. Well done, the goalkeeper.
Another short corner for Lexington. Space for Epps. Chipped in, looking for Barbier. And he's still committed forward on the turn, Rodriguez, and out for a goal kick.
Wow, there's been some pressure there those last few minutes. I think you're seeing a much better Lexington SC right now. The shots on goal, the holding the ball, the creativity for the corners. It's a much, much livelier team now. It looks like they're going to go the long route here, which is probably the right thing to do. Try and get the ball in the opponent's half and just get some pressure off these youngsters.
Rodriguez. Run continued by Goldthorpe in support. Throw for Lexington as we tick toward the hour mark.
What you got with Elliot Goldthorpe on that left-hand side and Marcus Epps on the right-hand side. And you've got Braudelio Rodriguez in the middle. You've got a situation there where you can create opportunities, get balls into dangerous areas. Also Hugo Mbongo, we haven't seen much of him, we don't know much about him, but again, he looks like a good target man in the box. So things beginning to happen for Lexington.
And on cue, Gary.
On cue, they had an aimless ball in the box and it goes straight out.
It's still been much better in the second half for Lexington, to your point. They've controlled more of the play in the attacking half. It's been less just meandering possession in the middle of the park. Adams. Threat always at a moment like this for Columbus, or rather for Lexington, is if Columbus is able to pick that just one counter. The later this game goes, the deeper they collapse, the more the threat of the counter is on, and the more pressure that builds on a Lexington side that is the higher division team in this match. The expectation is they win. Upset brewing, though. But a corner for Lexington.
Elliot Goldthorpe again on that left-hand side. He has been the one player, maybe not the only player, but certainly the one that stands out for me as having had a decent game. I think the others have struggled to really get into the rhythm. It's beginning to come now for Lexington. And again, if they score 2 or 3 and they win this match, they'll just, forget about the first half. But Terry Boss was forced into making changes.
Made 4 of them at the half. Haven't quite paid off yet to the tune of a goal. Floated after the corner and gathered by Pruder. With what we've seen so far from Goldthorpe and his delivery and his service, at this point, Gary, would you just like for them on corners and set pieces to be more direct and just have him serve it? Because it seems whenever they've gone this short route, it hasn't really panned out, Lexington.
Using the big guys is something that they have to do, and they've had some decent corners where they've tried them short and others that haven't worked. But we said from the beginning, physically, Lexington SC, they're much, much stronger. They're much, much more mature than these teenagers, mostly teenagers, that are playing for Columbus Crew too. And I think you'll see as this game goes on, if it remains 1-0, they'll go route one at Lexington. They have to. They've got to push and shove and just body these youngsters out the way. And that's I'm sure, what Fede Higuain wants. He wants his young players to know what it's like to have to be tough in these circumstances, not just mentally tough, but physically tough as well.
Barbier out again to Goldthorpe. He's been the creator for Lexington. Goldthorpe. Just under a half an hour remaining. The Manchester United great Gary Bailey. I'm Joe Malfa. Second round, Columbus Crew 2, Lexington SC. It's MLS Next Pro against USL Championship. It's 1-0 to the lower division side. Goldthorpe in behind, has space and support, but the offside flag comes up on Goldthorpe as he looked to find Firmino.
Just looking at the body language of the Columbus Crew 2 players. So a few of them breathing heavily and heads down, and they put a lot of effort into this match. It's a big game for them. The excitement, the build-up. You just wonder if that's going to take its toll in the last 25 or so minutes of this match. Assuming that's all we have. We could have another 30 on top of that. If Lexington get an equalizer and neither side can get the winner, then we'll go the full 120 minutes.
And if we do have an extra 30, it doesn't bode well for Columbus. You already mentioned some of them look like they're huffing and puffing, and they only have 6 available players. Remember, a player short on the bench tonight, Columbus. If we do go to extra time, both teams do get that bonus 6th sub. They wouldn't even be able to use it unless they needed to make a goalkeeper switch. Some of those careless moments have been there as well for Lexington, where they've been needlessly offside.
There's the high press again, trying to induce this error.
Sean Ferdinand, back to Pruder. Sticking to it, Columbus. This is their style, they're not straying from it. And sometimes it works well like this, building out of the back. Just a bit too long on that final ball over the top toward Elliott. The moments when it comes off and looks like that, it has to feel nice for a coach like Fede Higuain. Look out, give it away. Ortiz closing in. Ortiz! Stealing a second for Columbus. Now up by 2.
Wow, can you believe it? I think that's the second shot on target for Brooks Thompson, and he's picked the ball out the back of the net twice. Really good hunting around the edge of the box there, jumping on that by Christian Ortiz. Poor defensive work by Lexington to have their pocket picked. Give the 17-year-old from the Dominican Republic credit there, because he pounces on that ball. One of the few times they've really put pressure on the back here. And there he goes and wins that ball as it's being played. And from a tight angle, gets it down to the right-hand side of Brooks Thompson. I think it was Caceres there who was trying to play the ball to Kendall Burks. And it was intercepted, but wow, are we in for a cup shot? Now 2-0 down. It's going to take a massive fight back from Lexington. And if Terry Boss was angry at halftime, he's going to be fuming now.
This is the downside, Gary, I think, to have made all 4 of those subs at halftime. In case the early portion of the second half did not go your way, you've already sort of used your wild card. You don't really have much you can turn to now. Sure, you could bring on a player like Corey Burke, who's a dangerous talent. Look out, another giveaway at the back by Lexington. Now you could bring on Corey Burke, sure, but that's one player. You've already used 4 subs, and exhausting those 4 subs hasn't worked out. You've given up another goal since that moment.
Well, they have looked better, though, and I do think you can get something out of Marcus Epps, for example, up front. But I would also bring Corey Burke on, because he is a Corey Burke, rather. He's a very, very good player, obviously hugely experienced, massive, powerful player. I think it's worth bringing him on and just shaking things up front a little bit further. But this time, I mean, 2-0 down is not a great position to be in. But they can get this right, Lexington, but it's going to need a massive effort now from this team in orange.
Rodriguez. On the right side of midfield, Chase Adams, so he's onside. No support, though, waiting for it. Adams spotted that run from Tristan Brown, but couldn't quite link up.
A lovely ball out of defense to Chase Adams, by the way, under all sorts of pressure, knocked 40 yards straight to Chase Adams' feet.
This is Columbus Crew 2's first ever time in Open Cup. Plenty of Open Cup history for the first team. Winners in the past, runners up in the past. This year with Columbus Crew being in CONCACAF Champions Cup, they were exempt at the first team level from this tournament. Instead, Columbus Crew 2 sliding in. They are maybe on the brink of making a bit of a run here and getting to the third round.
The first team winning it back in 2002. So they do have some history. This would be a shot, no doubt about it. Lexington are a very, very good USL franchise. They've brought a lot of players in. They spent money. They're expected to do fairly well this year, certainly playoffs, and maybe a long run in the playoffs. And Terry Boss would not have been expecting this. He might have been expecting a tight game, but eventually his players to push through. But to be 2-0 down with just over 20 minutes left, they are really in a deep hole now. And they're going to have to pull out something special. But again, if players, they have players on this lineup who are capable of something special. Marcus Epps being one of those. Just depends on how fired up they are at this stage of the match.
You mentioned that 2002 U.S. Open Cup triumph for Columbus. Only player on the field today for Columbus Crew 2 who was born was Luke Pruder, the goalkeeper. Nobody else suited up for Columbus today was born when they won Open Cup back in 02.
Good stat.
Not only not born, Chase Adams wasn't born for 6 more years. And they're ready to bring on another bit of that youth. Gianmarco Dinotto, who just turned 16, is set to come on. Offside again against Goldthorpe.
Heads are dropping a little bit for Lexington, and I'd just like to see them a little bit more angry, a little bit more upset. But it happens. I mean, it's easy for me to sit here and tell them what they should do. I've been in the same situation as them, where you're expected to win and you come away with a bad result, egg on your face, and it happens. You're all humans. But I'd just like to see a leader here, someone stand up and start having a go at the other players, saying, come on, let's raise our energy. Just haven't seen enough of that yet from Lexington SC.
20 more minutes to now find 2 goals just to send it to extra time for Lexington. They were on the wrong side of a cup set last year. Then a USL League One side, Lexington, on the road in Vermont against Vermont Green. Pulled off one of the fun upsets of that early round last year, Vermont over Lexington. And then this year making the move to USL Championship, now against the 3rd Division MLS Next Pro side. On the wrong side of it again, Lexington.
And the difference between this and last year is they've brought in a lot of fantastic players. They spent money to do it. The quality is much higher than last year, and yet here they are. Still, as you say, on the wrong side of a defeat. And you can get into runs. They've had a good start to the season. They had that win at home to Hartford, drew away at Orange County, and Orange County were lucky they scored in the 97th minute to equalize. But since their victory in the Open Cup over Southern Indiana, they've been drawn. They drew at home to Indy 11, should have won that. Lost at home to San Antonio. If they lose this, suddenly on a bit of a bad run, and that's not what Terry Boss wants at this stage of the season.
The last button they could really push is bringing on Corey Burke. They're about to. Told it'll be for Braudilio Rodriguez on the Lexington side. After that second goal, it's felt like Columbus has played with a different confidence as well. More possession. Now you can have that bit of a cushion. Here they go again. Can they put this away? Ortiz is onside. Ortiz! Save made by Thompson, giving Lexington a brief glimmer of hope still.
Wow, that could turn out to be the most crucial save. I thought that was a certain third goal. Lovely build-up. The defense, they were caught one short. He's got time on the ball, Christian Ortiz. And it almost goes in. It comes off his left foot, Brooks Thompson, onto his right. Could have gone anywhere. Unfortunately for the keeper, it stays out of his goal.
At 2-0, there's still hope. At 3-0, that would have been game, set, match, move on to the third round for Columbus. Still looking for that third goal now off the corner.
What a moment. Brooks Thompson, credit for the save, but a little bit fortunate in that he didn't know where it was going to go. Hit one foot, hit the other. It could have gone, and I thought it had for a moment gone to the back of the net. But what a good move, though, from Columbus crew. And you were just making the point that they're playing more relaxed, and I think they are. Obviously, there's a bit of a cushion now. They know that even if they make an error, they can still go through. And it was so close there to making it 3-0.
Corey Burke comes on. Over 30 caps for Jamaica, World Cup qualifiers, CONCACAF Gold Cup. Long MLS career. Now for the 33-year-old in the rearview mirror. This time was spent with Philadelphia and the New York Red Bulls. What difference can he maybe make? He needs something. Here he is on it. Burke. Goldthorpe looking for Burke all the way through. Epps tracks it down. Just over a quarter of an hour remaining. Epps in for Burke, still loose. Foul called against Corey Burke.
Those are the balls I think now are the ones that are going to work best for Lexington FC. Just whip it into that box. And you've got the likes of Corey Burke and Hugo Mbongu. You've got some big units up there. It's going to be very difficult for Columbus crew to defenders to deal with. So you can see the orange shirts. They're just hunting on the edge of the box now. They know that clock is ticking down. And they know they have to get service in, so it's going to be I think strap yourself in for the last 15 minutes. It's going to be could be an exciting one.
Here's the yellow for time wasting for Luke Pruder.
Is that the first yellow card?
First of the match for either side. Been clean so far.
Very clean match.
And a very short leash on that time wasting. If you remember, 43rd or so minute, the referee issued a warning for time wasting at the time to Quinton Elliott on a throw-in, which got a chuckle out of Quinton Elliott, but that was sort of a warning for the whole team that he was not going to take any sort of time wasting. This is the first time that Pruder's done this, and he had no leeway. Immediately shown the yellow. There's a noticeable shift in the attitudes, it seems, of both teams after that second goal. And a bonus goal like that will do it to you on both sides. There is a confidence brimming from this Columbus team now. They're quick to collapse to every ball. They're possessing out the back. Should have probably had a third.
It was bad defending at that almost third goal. We're just short of numbers at the back, Lexington, and again, credit to Columbus crew for how quick they were in transition there and how accurate. I don't think watching this again during the course of this week is going to be a nice watch for these Lexington players, with the coaching staff pointing out some of the weaknesses of their performance here tonight.
Even in a moment like this, in the first half, those moments for Columbus felt frantic when the press was coming for Lexington. Calm pass back now for Pruder. He sends it long. They just seem more decisive.
What they're also doing is they're knocking long balls. In that first half, they were trying to dribble out of these high presses, and they kept losing possession. And since then, they've knocked it longer, and they've won a few of those long balls. And where they haven't, they've dealt with the next wave of attack really well.
Ortiz down for Columbus. He'll celebrate a birthday this month as well. On the 23rd, he'll turn 18. Made 7 appearances in USL Championship last year for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. He's on loan from that Rowdy side to Columbus Crew 2. Made his senior debut for Dominican Republic back in September in CONCACAF Nations League. And last summer, played his way into that senior role by standing out for the U20s at the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship. So playing well above his age level as a 17-year-old at the U20s and then the senior level. And now making his name known for Columbus Crew 2 with a goal tonight in Open Cup.
Could have had a second for a very good save from the keeper. Problem is, we spoke about what happens if they lose here. Lexington, having lost their last match to San Antonio, drawn at home to Indy 1-1 before that. The next match is El Paso away, who've had a really good start to the season. Las Vegas home, who are the Western finalists. And Monterey Bay at home, who have got a very good lineup. So it's just one of those, you could very easily go on a skid of 5, 6, 7 games without a win, and then that won't do you any good as an expansion side. So these last few minutes, it's very crucial for Lexington and Terry Boss.
And now they'll have to contend with Brett Adu-Giamfi coming on for Ortiz. Adu-Giamfi, 7 goals, 6 assists last season for Columbus Crew 2. Nothing yet this season. On the flip side, Gary, you mentioned a bit of a skid for Lexington. This is maybe what could pull Columbus out of a skid. They've lost all 3 of their matches so far to begin their next pro campaign. This could give them the momentum they need to turn things around in their regular season.
Could very well do. And saw some of the action from those matches they lost, and 2 of them were just by a goal, and against Inter Miami in the last one, they were 2-2 until towards the end. So they haven't been played off the park. Certainly this will give them huge confidence if they can get this win. I mean, it's massive against a loaded Lexington SC. I mean, a lot of the players, especially now when you look at them, these are all mostly their first team players.
And the expectation for this side for Columbus Crew 2 is they'll only get better as the year goes along, playing such young guys. You talked about it a bit in the first half. Federico Higuain employed the same strategy at Inter Miami the last 2 years. In 2023, they were last in the Eastern Conference in Next Pro. Last year they were 3rd, and for the first time ever made the playoffs. And that even goes back to when Inter Miami CF2 were the Fort Lauderdale side of USL League One. They had never made the playoffs, be it when they were in League One or after the move to Next Pro. And it all happened after he laid the groundwork in that first year, playing all the young guys, not shying away from it here either. And this could be a big feather in their cap if they can knock off a higher division side in a cup competition. Do wonders for their confidence. Lexington have double the final 3rd entries as Columbus, but nothing to show for it. Columbus has been more effective with fewer opportunities. They have double the shots on target of Lexington, 4-2. Even though Lexington is 56 final 3rd entries to 28. They've been efficient, Columbus Crew 2.
Probably a little touch of luck as well when you think that Lexington hit the post first half, they hit the crossbar second half. They got caught with a deflected goal, the first one.
Hit a crossbar and a post in the second half.
Yes.
Same ball.
Same ball. So, you know, they can look at it and go, with a bit of luck, we could be 2-0 up. But this is the way it goes. My question is, when the luck goes against you, have you got the ability and the desire to come back and fight? Lexington have the ability. I didn't see the desire enough in the first half. I've seen flickers of it here in the second half.
Total matches to be played here in round 2. Are we on the brink of starting the 16 with a cup set? Is it an omen of things to come tonight and tomorrow night? Goldthorpe. A nice ball through from Goldthorpe, looking for Burke, and he's offside. Seen very nice flashes from Goldthorpe in this one, through and through. Whether he's played off the right or the left, they've continued to flip-flop him on both sides. And he's been creative on both sides.
He certainly has one of the few positives to take from this match so far for Terry Boss, the coach. And now less than 10 minutes of normal time. This is when we see how do Columbus Crew to close the match down, how do they do all those things that all the other teams do, slowing it down, playing in the opponent's half, moving the ball, keeping possession, you name it. Just trying to keep Lexington as far away from their goal as possible. It's all part of the game management, and these youngsters so far, to be fair, they've managed this game brilliantly from beginning right up until now.
Played in by Firmino and gathered by Pruder. Wisely taking a dive at the end of it as well.
My question, why is there not a near post run there? There's two Lexington SC players in the box, or hovering on the end of the box. As soon as he gets this ball, one goes near post, or should go near post, one far post, and no one's there. It's a defender who's covering the near post. So again, just a lack of either commitment, ambition, or something that from what is normally a very good Lexington SC outfit. We just haven't seen it here today so far.
Goldthorpe, good find. Epps cutting in. Epps trying to create space, close quickly by Columbus. They're not giving an inch in and around the 18. Barbier floats it. Firmino swipes at it, flicked away. Not far enough. Can they get the danger clear, Columbus? We're back in over the bar. Joe Hafferty got under it. Goal kick, and Columbus can breathe.
Good pressure coming from the visitors, but this effort here from Firmino doesn't connect with it properly. And he's a good striker of a ball normally. Nick Firmino comes to Joe Hafferty. This one is a lot closer. That's not far away, but again, hasn't hit target. Hasn't forced Luke Pruder to have to make a save.
Their only official shot on target in this second half was the one that got deflected, if you remember, early in this second half, and it was dipping down. Pruder made the great save to put it over the bar. So their only shot on target of the second half wasn't even a clean shot on target. It was only made dangerous by the deflection. Now Epps. To the end line, Epps to the back post, Goldthorpe. Urgency now, but is it a little case of too little too late for Lexington?
Decent ball whipped in again, maybe almost too much pace on the ball. The strikers in the middle couldn't get to it, and Goldthorpe and the far post couldn't get to it either. But there's just something missing from the Lexington game today, and you get days like that. Maybe when all the analysis is done with Terry Boss and the rest of the coaching staff, they'll just say, you know what, it wasn't our day. But I think then you also have to look at how well Columbus Crew 2 have played, the way they've taken their chances, and the way these youngsters have defended.
Seen some goals pop up elsewhere now. On the brink of halftime, South Georgia Tormenta of USL League One up 1-0 on Foro, one of the amateur sides that got through the first round. Charlotte Independence of USL League One are tied at 1 with Carolina Court of MLS Next Pro. So a pair of third division sides there. One USL League One, one MLS Next Pro. 1-1, 15 minutes in. And also 15 minutes in, Inter Miami 2 of Next Pro, or 0-0 with Miami FC in the sort of Miami Derby light. It's been fun the last few years seeing the Miami Derby between Inter Miami's first team and Miami FC. It's the first time it's been Inter Miami's second team. Rolled ahead for Burke in behind. Corey Burke, save made, second effort. Couldn't get it on frame. Pruder makes the stop. Time continues to tick off.
Good save from the goalkeeper, but it's been hit straight at him. If you look at how good the finishing has been for Columbus Crew 2, that from Corey Burke is not the quality that he's capable of. There's not much that Pruder has to do, really. Just stay where he is, stand still, and make sure it hits his body. And just think of Christian Ortiz's finish, the second one. He had to beat the keeper and gets it wide of him from a very similar angle. Good finish from Christian Ortiz, not the same from Corey Burke.
Goldthorpe, great touch. And earns a corner. Goldthorpe started his young career in the academy for Manchester United for just 1 year, then 8 years at Leeds, and then came to the U.S. for college. Star at Hofstra, always a right side, year in, year out. Hofstra, yellow card shown. Goldthorpe on the aftermath of that. I think he was arguing it should have been a corner. You see there it's a throw, and his argument got him in the book.
Looks like there might be a long throw coming in here from Kendall Burks.
Launched from the throw. And now it'll be a corner. You see there, Barbier slapping it away. That urgency has lacked this second half. It's good to see it now, but it's the 89th minute, and Barbier's finally showcasing it. Where has that been from the rest of this Lexington group for the last 30 minutes?
Agree with you. Trying to keep the reserves, the bench players away from the corner kick taker.
From the corner, dealt with by Columbus. They held strong defensively, through and through. '90th minute here in Columbus. Crew 2 are up 2-0. On the brink of a cup set, Goldthorpe whips it in for a goal kick again. You can see some of the frustrations now setting in for Goldthorpe and his reaction. He's not the one to blame today for Lexington. I think if you're going to look around, all the players who have taken the field, he's probably been the best out there for Lexington from the opening whistle to this moment here, 89.5 minutes later.
And I'm pleased to see him upset because we haven't seen enough of that, as you were just saying with Daniel Barbier. We just haven't seen enough emotion from the Lexington players as they fell behind. They seemed to be relaxed about it, thought they would get back in the game probably. But only now we're beginning to see some frustration showing through. It will tell, I mean, for Terry Boss, it will tell him something about some of his players. Possibly not good things, but certain players who weren't able to impact the game he would have liked. And hopefully those players can learn from it, because USL is a tough league, and if they want to do anything similar to what Rhode Island did last year, they're going to need players to improve in these games.
They have 6 minutes of stoppage time to try and pull off a miracle here late on.
If you think back to the last game, they were 2-0 up against San Antonio, lost 3-2. So there's certain things that they need to get better at.
Goldthorpe whips it in. Corey Burke was under it.
He has put some good balls in, Elliot Goldthorpe, and he's super frustrated that nothing's coming from them, but his performance has been fine. I don't think there's any issues there.
Feels like he's on the brink of maybe taking a consistent starting spot now, Goldthorpe, with this Lexington side, especially as they hit this bit of a skid here. All his appearances so far in league play have come off the bench. Started, scored, and had an assist last game in Open Cup. He's been their best player tonight. He continues to flash, and looks like he'll be one to count on for Terry Boss as they try to navigate through this early portion of the year. Epps. Columbus have done this, only making one sub as well.
Not the best of crosses. That's way too close to Luke Pruder, and it's got time in it, so the goalkeeper's going to come and catch that every day of the week. And he gets a chance to kill the game. Slow it down, although he can't afford to slow it too much. Yeah, on the yellow already. If you'll be watching him. But yeah, long ball and push everyone up, and then takes time for Lexington to build up the attack, you would think, and get back in that half. So all of that works the clock down. And just spare a thought for Brooks Thompson. He's hardly touched the ball. I mean, literally, I think there's been 2 shots on target. Both have hit the back of the net. One a deflected shot, one a good finish from Christian Ortiz, and that's all he's had to do. Oh, and one very good save. Yes, can't forget about that from Christian Ortiz.
It's not like you to shortchange a goalkeeper, Gary. Dinotto will come on for Nico Rincon. Just a second sub by Columbus. So Fede Higuain has just trusted this group to go out there, grit through it. Almost a throwback performance to the old days of just 3 substitutions, where he's relied on this group. Why change a thing when it's been structured, it's been organized, it's been on top of its game? Late change here with Rincon off and Dinotto on. Feels like anybody that Columbus brings on, obviously, as you pointed out earlier, is trusting a young player in a big situation because their whole bench comprised of teenagers. But again, just what does it say from Federico Higuain trusting a 15, just turned 16-year-old in Dinotto to come on and see this game out? That's who you turn to. That's trust in a young group in a big moment, especially the way they play, possessing out of the back. Dinotto dropping all the way deep here to be that focal point in the possession. Adams clicks it along. Brilliant from Adams. Do they have an exclamation point here? Columbus, yes they do! Columbus Crew 2 on to round 3 of the Open Cup. It's Brent Adu-Giamfi.
That's a very good finish and a great bit of play. Chase Adams, little back heel and awareness of where Brent was is just top class. Have a look here. Just there, that little back heel. Then he's got the pace, Brent, to get there. He's got a couple of options, but they don't close him down, the defenders. See, he's 6 yards out. Yes, it's a tight angle, but he thinks, you know what, you're not going to close me down. Maybe I'll just have a dipper goal. And just the power of the shot beats Brooks Thompson. And 3-0 is just a fantastic score for Columbus Crew 2. Absolutely brilliant. Well done, those young players. Well done, Fede Higuain, for putting them together. And, well, it's going to be a tough trip home for Lexington SC because Terry Boss will be fuming.
And it was just like the second goal from that tight angle down that side as well. Right footer, far post, tight angle. Second goal was Ortiz, and now it's his substitute, Adu-Giamfi. And because nobody else touched it and there were no other shenanigans there, they do credit Adams with a second assist on the evening. He assisted the opening goal to Prestis. He assists this one. So he won't get a goal to his own name, the striker, tonight, but he has been a terrific bright spot for Columbus. He gets 2 assists. I think he's probably your man of the match. You've been impressed with him throughout in this one, Chase Adams.
He's been excellent, but just the awareness from a 16-year-old, you're holding the ball up with players from a much higher level, much older than you, all over you, and you still can backheel it into the path of Brent, who then goes on to stick it in the back of the net. It's just quality it's such quality from such a young player.
First of 6 games tonight, 10 more tomorrow, and we will begin this second round of Open Cup with a cup set here for Columbus. 6 minutes come and gone. Out for a goal kick. Need we even take it?
With Brent Adu-Giamfi, he scored 2 goals against the Renegades in the Open Cup. So he's had 2 there, 1 here tonight. He must love this Open Cup.
Final whistle. Columbus Crew 2 of MLS Next Pro pull off the upset over Lexington SC from the jump. They'd been on top. A goal 7 minutes in. They tacked on 2 in the second half. and they are on to the third round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
I think lessons all around here. Lessons for Lexington SC. Don't start cup games slowly. Don't make assumptions because you fall behind. It just stacks up on you and things can go wrong. And they didn't have the brakes. They hit the woodwork a couple of times. This wasn't their day. But credit Columbus crew to Chase Adams in particular up front, as you mentioned. But every one of those players defensively, brilliant. Look at the hugs all around. I mean, this isn't just a lucky win. This is a comprehensive beating of a team from a much higher level and a much more experienced team. So fantastic. Congrats, Columbus crew, too. All of you go out and party. Not old enough to drink, so have lots of Coca-Cola or whatever, but go and party nonetheless.
Yeah, basically this entire starting 11 cannot consume. So different sorts of celebrations for Columbus crew, too. Age-appropriate celebrations, that is. We'll take a look back at the highlights from this one. Columbus, again, from the jump, 7 minutes in, set the tone with this moment here.
And as the ball comes in, who is it who sets it up? Chase Adams, awareness, early ball played, a shot from a player who's got space on the edge of the box in Owen Prestis, deflected and hits the back of the net. But the awareness of Chase Adams didn't take too many touches, just gets it straight in.
And from that point on, you knew that Lexington needed to find something. They almost did here. Crossbar post stayed out. This wasn't their day. Moments later, a deflection, save made by Pruder, and then Columbus would strike for a second and really put it out of reach.
Sarah just has his pocket picked, and from a very tight angle, it gets tucked away by Christian Ortiz. And this is when Lexington were really in trouble. Look at the numbers at the back. And then had another chance here. The goalkeeper gets it with his right foot, his left foot rather, and it just makes a vital save. Otherwise, it was game over. And then when the chances did come for Lexington SC, they couldn't get it right. The shots were, I mean, that one there wasn't too bad from Joe Hafferty. Firmino's one was a total mishit.
And at that point, you were just hoping for something from Corey Burke. Almost gave it to you. This was already with just about 10 minutes to go. And then finally, Columbus supplied the exclamation point.
Chase Adams, wonderful back heel. In for Brent at a Giamfi, and then from a tight angle, very similar to what Corey Burke couldn't score from, he sticks it in the back of the net. Just quality all around. Well done, Fede Higuain. It's been a fantastic night for you and your players.
And these players celebrating in front of the crowd. 3 other games going on right now for you to flip around to. 2 more later this evening, and 10 more tomorrow as the second round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup continues. That'll do it for us from here in Columbus. For the crew that makes this possible, the broadcast partner Gary Bailey, I am Joe Malpa saying so long for now. Columbus crew 2 through to the third round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.